Hi there, I'm Karaticus. I'm here to explain a new way of thinking about the cosmos. I'm going to speak about things that might not make sense at first. I will explain the concepts behind IFM. I'll explain the mathematical model. I'll discuss the implications for modern science and the potential for future development. Welcome to Part 1 of the Infinite Fluid Multiverse, a unified theory of energy, resonance, and reality by Karaticus. This is the first chapter in an 11-part audio series exploring a groundbreaking framework that unifies our understanding of the cosmos and beyond. If you're new to these ideas, that's perfect. This presentation is designed for you. We'll take it step by step, building from the ground up. Let's begin with Chapter 1. The evolution of the infinite fluid multiverse theory. The infinite fluid multiverse, or IFM theory, is the product of a profound and prolonged journey, one that spans over 4 decades of relentless inquiry, observation, and systematic exploration. It didn't arise from a laboratory breakthrough or a moment of divine inspiration, but from the slow, deliberate unraveling of assumptions that failed to hold up under scrutiny. This chapter chronicles that evolution, tracing the theory's origins from childhood doubts about conventional explanations to a mature framework that unifies cosmology, physics, biology, and philosophy under the principles of an eternal resonant energy fluid. To fully appreciate this journey, imagine it as a river carving its path through a landscape of ideas. Starting from small streams of curiosity, it gathers momentum, merging with tributaries of evidence and insight, until it becomes a powerful flow reshaping the terrain of knowledge. Through personal anecdotes, conceptual breakthroughs, mathematical refinements, and iterative validations, this narrative reveals how IFM emerged as a testament to empirical rigor and the transformative power of questioning the unquestioned. We'll explore the seeds of skepticism, the quest for foundational truth, key developments, interdisciplinary expansions, validations through testing, philosophical reflections, and the theory's future trajectory, providing a comprehensive view of how IFM has matured into a paradigm-shifting model that challenges us to see the universe not as a collection of isolated parts, but as a seamless, vibrating whole. Let's start with the seeds of doubt, childhood observations and classroom conflicts. My path to IFM began in the innocence of childhood, where the world appeared as a tapestry of interconnected patterns that felt intuitive and boundless. I spent countless hours immersed in nature, observing the fractal branching of trees, how each branch split into smaller ones, mirroring the larger structure in miniature. The rhythmic flow of rivers captivated me, the way water curved around rocks, creating eddies that spun in perfect harmony. I marveled at the harmonious spirals in shells, each curve building on the last in a golden ratio that seemed to echo throughout nature. And under the infinite complexity of star-filled skies, I felt a deep sense of wonder, lying on the grass for hours, tracing constellations and pondering the vastness above. These experiences instilled a sense of unity, an instinctive understanding that everything was part of a continuous, harmonious whole. It was as if the universe was a single, living entity, where every leaf, every ripple, every star was connected in a grand symphony. But this intuitive harmony clashed sharply with the explanations I encountered in formal education, where the world was broken down into discrete, mechanical parts that felt artificial and disconnected. A pivotal moment came in physics class with my teacher, Mr. Ellis, who described the Big Bang as the origin of everything, a finite event exploding into expansion from a singular point. He explained electricity as the flow of tiny particles called electrons, zipping through wires like cars on a highway. Redshift, he said, was evidence of a stretching universe, where galaxies were fleeing from each other in an ever-expanding void. These ideas seemed disjointed and contrived, relying on invisible forces, arbitrary beginnings, and unobservable entities that didn't align with my intuitive grasp of harmony. Why posit a singular origin when infinity felt more natural? If the universe had a beginning, what was before that? And why invoke dark matter or dark energy, things we can't see or touch, to explain away inconsistencies when simpler patterns existed in plain sight, like the resonant waves in a pond or the balanced growth of a tree? This discord was not mere childish rebellion. It was a recognition that the models presented were based on layers of untruths or misinterpretations that failed to capture the world's inherent resonance. It felt like trying to describe a symphony by listing the notes without hearing the music. They missed the flow, the interconnected vibrations that made everything feel alive and unified. This unease was compounded by earlier experiences of deception that taught me the fragility of accepted narratives. As a small boy, my mother once told me parsnips were mashed potatoes to encourage me to eat them. A harmless lie that nonetheless revealed how even well-intentioned stories can distort reality. I remember the moment of realization when the taste didn't match the expectation. It was a small betrayal, but it planted the seed of doubt. Why accept explanations at face value when they might be hiding something? Such moments taught me to question authority and seek underlying truth, rejecting surface-level answers in favor of deeper inquiry. They also highlighted a recurring theme. People often treat symptoms rather than roots. In medicine, we medicate pain without addressing the cause. In economics, we bail out failing systems without fixing the underlying flaws. In science, we patch theories with invisible forces instead of rethinking the foundation. This early skepticism sparked a lifelong quest, prompting me to reject fragmented models and build from observable harmony, much like how a river finds its course by flowing around obstacles toward the sea. As I navigated these early doubts, I began to see patterns in nature that standard explanations couldn't fully account for. For example, the way a spider's web vibrates in unison when a fly lands, or how leaves on a tree orient themselves to capture sunlight in perfect balance. These weren't random, they were resonant, interconnected systems. This foundation of observation set the stage for what would become IFM, a theory born not from abstract equations, but from the lived experience of a world that felt infinitely connected. As I grew, this skepticism evolved into a structured quest for bedrock truth, starting with infinity. I realized that nearly every field I examined, science, economics, and religion, was built on assumptions rooted in finite thinking, often masking layers of untruths or misinterpretations. In science, theories like the Big Bang assumed a beginning, but what evidence truly supported that over an eternal state? In economics, systems were designed around scarcity, yet nature abounded with abundance, trees producing endless seeds, rivers flowing without end. Religion spoke of creation from nothing, but my observations suggested a continuous flow without abrupt starts or stops. Motivated by this, I committed to finding a single provable truth upon which everything could be rebuilt. The starting point was infinity, an endless universe without boundaries, origins, or voids. This wasn't a whimsical choice. It was the only assumption that didn't introduce arbitrary limits. Finite models always begged the question, what lies beyond the edge? Infinity, by contrast, was self-consistent, aligning with the boundless patterns I saw in nature. Visualizing myself stepping back from the cosmos, I perceived it as an infinite energy field, where all phenomena arise from vibrational interactions. This led to the core premise: everything is made of energy. Breaking down matter repeatedly, whether in thought experiments or through scientific literature, reveals vibrations. Atoms are clouds of electrons buzzing around nuclei, and those nuclei are quarks vibrating in harmony. These are harmonies of energy entities, or EEs, nested clusters from subatomic to cosmic scales. EEs seek equilibrium through resonant forces, much like musical notes harmonizing in a chord. This foundation was tested against everyday observations, building confidence step by step. For instance, a cup staying still on a table despite Earth's spin demonstrates unified motion in the fluid. Everything is one steady eddy, moving together in the medium's flow. Why doesn't the cup fly off? Because it's part of the same resonant system as the table, the room, the planet. Such insights reinforced infinity as the only assumption free from finite biases, aligning with patterns like fractal trees, branches splitting in ratios that repeat infinitely, and Bode's law in base 60 harmonics, which predict resonant spacings in planetary orbits with remarkable accuracy. Bode's law, discovered in the 18th century, shows planets spaced in a harmonic series, much like notes on a scale, but extending it to base 60 with its 12 divisors for clean fractions, made it even more precise for IFM's modeling. As I delved deeper, I explored how infinity applied to other fields. In economics, finite resources lead to competition and inequality, but an infinite field suggests abundance. Energy is everywhere, waiting to be harmonized. In religion, infinity resolves the paradox of a creator God. The field is the divine, eternal, and uncreated. These early explorations laid the groundwork for IFM's interdisciplinary nature, showing how a single truth could rebuild fragmented knowledge into a unified whole. Now, let's turn to the key developments and eureka moments that shaped IFM into its current form. IFM's maturation involved iterative refinements and breakthroughs, much like a sculptor chipping away at stone to reveal the statue within. Mathematical formalization was pivotal. The redshift equation, pronounced Z equals rho to the power of 1/3 minus 1 plus delta W, where rho is the density fraction and delta W is the interference correction, emerged from modeling fractal scaling. This equation didn't come overnight. It was the result of years of testing against data from telescopes and labs. It ensured consistency, tested against atomic spectra, the unique fingerprints of elements and molecular vibrations, where bonds stretch and bend in harmonic patterns. A significant eureka moment came with the dynamic axial shift theory, or DAST, extending IFM to geophysics. I remember the night it clicked. DAST models planetary wobbles as equilibrium adjustments in the fluid using the equation, pronounced theta equals sine inverse of delta rho over rho 0 times cosine phi, where theta is the angle of shift, delta rho is the density change, rho 0 is the base density, and phi is the positional angle. This resolved observed anomalies like the Chandler wobble, a subtle sway in Earth's axis every 433 days, linking cosmic density flows to terrestrial dynamics. It was as if the planet was adjusting its tune to stay in harmony with the surrounding fluid. Biological extensions followed, viewing consciousness as layered resonance. EEs possess minimal awareness, combining into cellular and human cognition. The spark of life, the resonant ripple at sperm-egg merger, initiates this process, much like a pebble dropped in a pond sending waves that build into a symphony. Disruptions like electromagnetic mismatches, think of radio static interfering with a song, cause dissonance, leading to health issues. This insight came from observing how cells communicate through vibrations, extending the fluid model to life itself. Religious insights were another milestone. God as infinite harmony, with teachings like Jesus' kingdom within as vibrational alignment within the field. This bridged science and spirituality, resolving paradoxes like the arrow of time through eternal equilibrium. No need for a beginning when the fluid is timeless. I explored ancient texts, finding resonances with ideas of an eternal breath or hum of creation, aligning with IFM's vibrational core. Cometary analyses provided practical refinements, grounding the theory in real-world data. For the Comet 3I Atlas, initial predictions of asymmetries were adjusted with incoming observations, explaining the sunward tail as pressure effects from fluid gradients like wind pushing a sail, and the greenish tint as wave stretching, similar to how sound changes in denser air. This aligned with Bode's law, showing how harmonic spacings apply even to transient objects. The iterative process, predict, observe, refine, highlighted IFM's strength, evolution through evidence, not dogma. It was a reminder that true science is humble, willing to adapt when nature speaks. The 42-year timeline of development, echoing the humorous ultimate answer in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, added ironic depth. Truth as a quest, not a destination. This period culminated in realizations like energy as universal currency during economic explorations, where I saw financial systems as dissonant waves crashing in cycles of boom and bust. Interdisciplinary developments and economic integration marked the expansion of IFM beyond physics. Pulsar timings validated base 60 harmonics, with spin-down rates fitting density damping models, pulsars slowing as they lose energy to the fluid's drag. Helium and hydrogen models confirmed atomic resonances, showing how elements vibrate in harmony with the field. Oxygen frequencies explained atmospheric roles as stabilizers, preventing chaotic weather by damping extreme waves. Pesticide disruptions like fipronil, methoprene were modeled as wave damping, linking to health implications, chemicals muting biological resonances, causing neurological issues in bees and humans. Paradox resolutions became clear. The horizon problem via infinite equilibrium, where uniformity is the natural state of the boundless fluid. Hubble tension through local density variations affecting measurements. The surfer on a wave analogy for gravity and bucket of water for nesting deepened conceptual understanding, illustrating infinite divisibility and interconnectedness. Gravity isn't a pull from mass, but a pressure gradient in the fluid, like water pushing a surfer forward. Nesting shows how we're part of larger entities, our planet a drop in a cosmic ocean. These expansions showed IFM's power to connect dots across fields, turning isolated insights into a unified tapestry. Interdisciplinary developments and economic integration marked the expansion of IFM beyond physics. Pulsar timings validated base 60 harmonics, with spin-down rates fitting density damping models, pulsars slowing as they lose energy to the fluid's drag. Helium and hydrogen models confirmed atomic resonances, showing how elements vibrate in harmony with the field. Oxygen frequencies explained atmospheric roles as stabilizers, preventing chaotic weather by damping extreme waves. Pesticide disruptions like fipronil, methoprene were modeled as wave damping, linking to health implications. chemicals muting biological resonances, causing neurological issues in bees and humans. Paradox resolutions became clear. The horizon problem via infinite equilibrium, where uniformity is the natural state of the boundless fluid. Hubble tension through local density variations affecting measurements. The surfer on a wave analogy for gravity and bucket of water for nesting deepened conceptual understanding, illustrating infinite divisibility and interconnectedness. Gravity isn't a pull from mass, but a pressure gradient in the fluid, like water pushing a surfer forward. Nesting shows how we're part of larger entities, our planet a drop in a cosmic ocean. These expansions showed IFM's power to connect dots across fields, turning isolated insights into a unified tapestry. Validation through testing and adaptation was the crucible that forged IFM's reliability. IFM's developments were rigorously tested against the unforgiving judge of reality. JWST data affirmed high Z galaxy maturity, showing ancient structures at vast distances, consistent with wave stretching and density gradients. Pulsar catalogs confirmed harmonics, with spin rates aligning to base 60 patterns like notes in a scale. Lab simulations validated wave delays, reproducing relativity effects through fluid density alone. No need for curved spacetime. Cometary refinements exemplified scientific rigor. For 3I Atlas, predictions evolved with evidence, turning initial approximations into precise explanations. This process underscores IFM's empirical ethos. Observe the world closely, question assumptions boldly, resonate with patterns, and refine the model accordingly. It's not about defending dogma, but embracing truth wherever it leads. Philosophical reflections and societal impact arose naturally from IFM's evolution. IFM's journey revealed profound insights, reality as a resonant symphony where every vibration contributes to the whole, consciousness as combined awareness from the hum of atoms to the thoughts of minds. Existence as infinite interconnection, with no true separation. Philosophically, it promotes ethical harmony, living in tune with the field, respecting the resonances that bind us. Theologically, it reinterprets the divine as the field itself, an eternal harmony rather than a distant creator. Societally, recognizing dissonance-perpetuating structures, whether in polluting industries, exploitative economies, or divisive politics, encourages realignment. From health, where we treat root vibrations instead of symptoms, to economics, where abundance replaces scarcity, IFM offers a blueprint for a more balanced world. Imagine societies as orchestras. When in harmony they thrive, when dissonant they falter. These reflections transformed IFM from a scientific model to a philosophical guide, showing how understanding the universe can change how we live in it. Finally, the future trajectory and invitation for IFM. IFM continues to evolve, inviting collaboration from all who seek truth. Its journey from doubt to unification offers a blueprint. Question assumptions, seek patterns in nature, embrace infinity as the foundation. As the caretaker of this framework, I extend an invitation to you, the listener. Test its predictions in labs and observatories, expand its applications in your field, and resonate with its harmony in your life. The fluid awaits. Dive in and discover the infinite possibilities. That's all for now. I hope you'll join me again for Chapter 2, the introduction to the Infinite Fluid Multiverse, where we'll really begin to dive into the core concepts and mathematics of IFM. Bye-bye. See you soon.